Hello students, in this video we learn the force acting on a current carrying wire when it is placed in a magnetic field. So we'll try to understand from a simple concept electromagnet. So first of all, try to collect your basic idea about electromagnet. In your lower classes you have studied that suppose you have an electric wire which is current carrying wire. It is carrying a current I like this, and you put some small pins here, a tiny pins, and these pins attract to this wire. When current is allowed pass through this wire, these pins are attracted towards this. So why this happens? Because when current is passing through this wire, then magnetic field is developed around this wire. That means it is acting like a magnet. So magnet attracts pins, steel or iron pins. So this is what you have studied in your lower classes. Now in this video we learn that suppose you take this wire and place in some magnetic field. There is a magnetic field, another magnetic field, and if you take this wire and keep this magnetic field, keep this wire in this magnetic field, then how they behave like that. So to try to understand this, you consider individual field patterns. Here current carrying wires, just now we have seen it acts like a magnet. Let us say this is a magnetic field, another magnetic field whose field strength is B bar. Magnetic field lines are there means magnet is there. It is the field of magnet. It is just like a magnet, right? So let us say imagine it has some bar magnet, north pole and south pole here, and this is also a bar magnet like a north pole and south pole here. So depending on the polarity, they attract or repel each other. The south pole, north pole, they attract each other, and this north pole repel each other. Likewise, these two interact with each other. So what we have done is, this is the current carrying wire. We have placed this current carrying wire inside another magnetic field. Then both behave like a magnets and they interact with each other. That is what we are going to study in this video. And because of that interaction, some force is applied, like a Newton third action reaction force. So this current carrying wire applies some force on this field, and this field applies same amount of force on this current carrying wire in opposite direction. Now we cannot calculate the field. We will calculate the amount of force that is acting on this current carrying wire due to this magnetic field. That is what we called as force acting on a current carrying conductor. Now let us look into the details. Now in this case, here this pink wire, it is a current carrying wire. It is carrying a current I in downward direction. We have placed this current carrying wire in a magnetic field whose magnetic field strength is B bar, and just now we have discussed these two interact with each other, and because of that interaction some force is applied on this current carrying wire. How much force is applied? That is given by the formula F equals to I L bar cross B bar, where L represents the length of the wire and B bar represents the magnetic field strength at particular point, right? Now here the magnitude of this force is given as ILB sine theta because it is cross product between length of the current carrying conductor and magnetic field strength, and let us say some theta is angle between them, then we'll get ILB sine theta. And now we will find out what is theta. Theta is angle between L and B. L means length of the current carrying conductor and B means magnetic field strength. You look at the diagram. B is exactly horizontal direction and length of the wire. Actually length is a scalar, it has no direction, right? But we will take a current direction as a length vector. Okay, current is pointing downward direction, so this is downward and this is horizontal. The angle between them is 90 degrees perfectly. It is vertically downward and it is horizontal, right? So theta becomes a 90 degrees. So force magnitude will get ILB sine 90 is 1, we'll get ILB. Magnitude we got. Now the direction of force. Okay, the direction of force can be found using screw rule because it is a cross product. Okay, cross product between L bar cross B bar. Now L bar is taken along the current direction. Now we are going to find the direction of the force, in which direction the force is acting. So let us now use screw rule. In screw rule we know, okay, we try to rotate first vector towards the second vector. First vector is L bar, second vector is B bar. L bar is taken along current direction and it is vertically downwards. B bar is horizontal. Now when you are trying to rotate the first vector L bar towards the B bar, so it rotates like this. In which direction we are rotating the screw? It is anti-clockwise. We are rotating the screw like this. When you rotate the screw in anti-clockwise direction, it comes out of the wall. When it comes out of the wall, it is perpendicular to the plane of this paper like this. It is exactly perpendicular to the plane of the paper. This will be the pen pointing direction will be the force acting on the current carrying direction. Okay, in a diagram wise I have shown here. So here this vertically downward direction is nothing but our current direction, and horizontal direction is nothing but magnetic field direction. You are rotating this current direction toward the field direction. It is rotating horizontal, so anti-clockwise direction. And when you rotate the screw anti-clockwise direction, screw will come up, perpendicular, come outside. That means in the direction of the Z, positive Z direction. This is force. Okay, you can clearly understand from this diagram also. Here you see this is our current carrying wire and this is the magnetic field direction, and you rotate this I towards B like this in anti-clockwise direction, and when you rotate the screw in anti-clockwise direction, screw will come outside and force will be acting perpendicular to this plane of the paper. That means along the positive Z direction. So in this way we can calculate magnitude as well as direction of the force. Now we will see another example. Okay, just we reverse the direction of the current and see how it behaves. Okay, consider like this. Now the same diagram, but here the direction of the current is reversed, right? Current is moving now upwards, the wire is like this, and magnetic field is horizontal. Throughout this video we keep magnetic field horizontal only. Now for this diagram for this picture we calculate amount of force acting. Magnitude remains the same, F equals to L bar cross B bar. So we'll get ILB sine theta. Again current is upward, magnetic field is horizontal. The angle between these two is perpendicular 90 degrees. So theta becomes 90 degrees. We'll get force magnitude as ILB only. Now we'll find the direction. You see, direction means in cross product again we use screw rule. Here we move from L bar towards B bar. L bar is upwards, B bar is horizontal. When you turn this I bar, L bar vector towards the B bar, how we are rotating the screw? Like this, in clockwise direction. When the screw is rotating in clockwise direction, you are fixing the screw inside the wall. So the tip of the screw moves inside the paper. It is perpendicular to the paper and inside the paper. So it will be along negative Z direction. Let us try to understand using coordinate system. Our current carrying wire is pointing in Y direction, right? And magnetic field is along the X direction. So you are moving magnetic current carrying wire I direction towards the magnetic field direction. It is moving clockwise. So when you rotate the screw in clockwise direction, the screw is tightening, the screw is moving into the plane of the paper. So the resulting direction will be along minus Z direction. So the force act on the current wire in minus Z direction. Right here you can see this is the current carrying wire moving upwards and magnetic field is horizontal. So because of this, the force on this current carrying will be towards the minus Z direction inside the paper and towards the minus Z direction. So the force will be acting on this wire like this. So we have seen two. When the current is moving downwards, the force will be acting out of the paper, right? When the current is moving upward, the force will be acting inside the paper, inside the plane of the paper. Now we'll consider two more situations like this. So we have magnetic field line. Blue line indicates the magnetic field strength, right? Blue line. And we placed the current also in horizontal direction, parallel to this magnetic field. Now we will calculate in which direction the force will be acting on this wire. You see, the formula is same, L bar I L bar cross B bar, and we'll get ILB sine theta, where theta is angle between I bar and B bar. Now in this diagram you can see that I is pointing in horizontal direction, B bar also in pointing horizontal direction. The angle between these two is 0. When sine 0 is 0, the whole force becomes 0. So no force acting on this wire. So when you place the current carrying wire in the direction of the magnetic field, this wire do not experience any force, right? Now suppose you place the wire in opposite direction, right? Opposite direction like this. Magnetic field is towards the right side and current carrying wire is towards the left side. The angle between them is 180 degrees. Again, when you substitute theta equal to 180 degrees, sine 180 is 0. So you will get 0 force. So in either of the case, when the wire is placed in the direction of the magnetic field or opposite to the direction of the magnetic field, the force acting on the wire is 0. So now we combine all the force thing. Okay, in the first case, okay, first thing we have learned, in the first thing current is pointing downwards, in the second case current is pointing upwards, in third and fourth cases current is pointing from right side and whereas from left side. We combine all these four elements, okay, and see now what happens. Let us name this wire. Length of the wire is, let us say it is some P and Q, right? And name this length as a, here it is R and here it is S, right? And now we combine them, right? You take the first element like this, okay? You are combining this, right? So I just draw this. It is downward, and the name of the wire P Q, I name it as P and Q, right? And here it is the second wire. I draw second wire here, right? And current carrying is upside and this. So the name of this wire is R, yes. And coming to this, it is pointing from left to right. Name this as some QR so that we can join this here. QR is already there. So QR wire, and current is moving from left to right, flowing from left to right, right? And the remaining thing, right to left, let us name it as some, so here it is some P, here it is yes, right? So I can directly join this on the top of this. So yes, P, this is the element Y, and in this current is moving from right to left. So we know what we have formed. This is a coil, current carrying coil, right? So and we just draw the forces on this wire because already we know that we have calculated the force. In the first case, in the first wire, okay, you see this example, this is our wire, the two wires the same, and force acting in this will be out of the paper, out of the plane of the paper, and we have drawn here like this. So we draw the same force here. So force acts like this, out of the plane of the paper, right? And QR is third element. Here you can see QR. What is the force acting on it? Is 0. So no force we draw here. And here it is R and S, this wire is R and S, pointing upward current, right? What is the force acting in it? The force acting on this is inside the plane of the paper along the negative Z axis. So we draw force here like this, right? And it is force upwards, right? Now again coming to S and P element. Here we got S and P element. What is the force we got here? Zero, because current and magnetic field are opposite direction. So resultant force is zero. So finally we formed a loop and we clearly drawn force acting on the loop. Only two forces are acting. One force is acting out of the plane of the paper like this. Another force is acting into the plane of the paper like this. Okay, once again I'm explaining. We got four element combined, right? On one part only vertical currents are experiencing forces. Horizontal current carrying wires, no forces are experiencing. On left side wire it is experiencing a force perpendicular to the plane of the paper and out of the plane. And on right side it is also perpendicular but is inside the plane of the paper, it is experiencing a force. So it is just like a rectangular coil. Now I draw a simpler one in this way. So finally you got this element, right? So one force is acting in this way, another force is acting in this way. It is a rectangular coil and whose breadth is some b and length we already know. What is the length? L. We have assumed it previously. Length L bar, right? This is a coil. And now here what happens in such a situation? Two forces are acting in opposite direction. Two forces are acting in opposite direction. So it is producing a torque, just like you have seen, right? You have already discussed when two forces are acting on two sides, two opposite sides, and they are twisting the coil, they are rotating the coil like this. Okay, on the top I indicated they are twisting the coil, they are rotating the coil, right? So this is what we call torque. Now we will calculate torque acting on this coil. We already know that torque is given as perpendicular distance into force acting. It is a cross product, R bar cross F bar, where R is perpendicular distance between the two forces. This is force 1, force 2. So R is the distance between these two perpendicular forces, and F is the force, each force. We have two forces, right? Each force, we already calculated the force in previous case, you can recollect. So what is the force we got? ILB. Okay, only ILB is the force. Now torque is given as R cross F. R is perpendicular distance. Perpendicular distance means distance between these two forces. The perpendicular distance between these two forces is nothing but B, the breadth of the coil. We assumed it. So we write B as breadth of the coil, and F we calculated from previous ILB. Okay, and theta. Theta is the angle between R and F. They are perpendicular to each other because we have taken perpendicular distance. F is acting like this. Okay, R means it is horizontal. F means it is coming out of the paper, plane out of the plane of the paper. They are perpendicular to each other. So theta is 90 degrees, sine 90 is 1. So the torque acting on this will get BILB. I just rewrite it as I B into L, B into L into B, where B is breadth of the rectangular coil, L means length of the rectangular coil, L into B gives us area of the rectangular coil, where A is area of the rectangular coil. So finally what we got? Torque acting on this coil is given as IAB. Okay, where I is the current through the coil, A means area of the coil, B means magnetic field strength in which the coil is placed. And here we have used only one coil. Suppose we have used n number of turns like this, then the torque becomes NIAB. So this is how we formed a coil using four current carrying elements, and finally made it a coil and calculated how much force acting on this coil. That force means torque here, torque, right? And there is one more thing useful for you people. Suppose I place this current carrying coil in radial magnetic field. Radial magnetic field means I'll show you, and in that video in that field I show you, suppose you're viewing from the top this coil. Okay, you're viewing now from front. Suppose you view this coil from the top, so you place your eye from here and you're viewing this. What you can see only P and S, nothing is visible, right? And this is how it looks like. A radial magnetic field means north pole and south pole of the permanent magnets, and they are circular in shape. Okay, these circular or horseshoe shaped magnets, they create a radial magnetic field. You see, this appears like a circle, and these field lines are moving as along the radius. That is why it is called a radial magnetic field. So now we will see what is the advantage of this. So when you have such a radial magnetic field, then our coil, we are viewing the coil from the top side. Okay, so you're viewing from the top. What you can see only P and S, so I named it as P and S. We already know only two forces are acting. One force is like this, another force is like this. I indicated with the ink, force 1, force. Now when such a force acts, the coil rotates, it turns, right? So it turns. Let us say the coil has turned. I named the field lines as 1, 2, 3, 4, and here 1 dash, 2 dash, 3 dash, 4 dash, because it is radial magnetic field. This 1, 1 dash, 2, 2 dash, 3, 3 dash, 4, 4 dash. These are the field lines. Okay, now assume that our current carrying coil is presently on 3 and 3 dash. 3. When the torque produced in it applies some force on these two, then it experiences some turning effect. Then it turns. Let us say it has come along 4 and 4 dash here. 4 and 4 dash, it turns like this. Now when it comes 4 and 4 dash also, the magnetic field line is along the breadth of the coil. Okay, here you see when it is 3 and 3 dash also, the magnetic field lines is along the breadth line. When it turns and comes to 4 and 4 dash lines also, the magnetic field also along the breadth of the coil. So this magnetic field direction always keeps as a constant. Its magnitude is constant and direction also constant. That is the advantage of this radial magnetic field, which is very useful in understanding moving coil galvanometer. So the direction of this field is always breadth along the breadth. If you turn the coil like this also, another line 2 dash passes along the breadth of the coil. So when I say it is passing through breadth of the coil, means it is parallel to the plane of the coil, right? So having this radial magnetic field creates magnetic field of constant magnitude as well as constant direction. So in the next video we'll learn about moving coil galvanometer, and all the things which are in this video are very important to understand moving coil galvanometer. Thank you.